Hello and welcome to the One India podcast with Akash Kolaro. Joining me today is an actor, a producer, an educationalist, and somebody who takes a lot of pride in being so, Mr. Manchu Vishnu. Hi Vishnu, first things first, how are you?
I'm good, Akash. Thank you. How are you?
If I had to keep this free flowing, my first question to you, I think it's a message that celebrities all across the country should send out to the youth. I didn't use the word sir when I introduced you. Is that a problem to you?
Definitely not.
Now, the reason I said that is we seem to have adopted a lot of Western concepts, but dignity of labor still isn't something that we're really big on. So we have this sir culture in the corporates and elsewhere as well.
I think probably that has to do something with our tradition, because even though we incorporate some good Western practices, who are we if we forget our traditions and our culture?
Got it.
So it is deep-rooted within our culture for a younger person to look up to an elderly person and use the suffix sir or probably Mr. Yeah, I understand that in corporate culture, it's not really necessary.
Got it.
But there's no harm in giving respect if that is your tradition or culture. And some people are okay with it, some people are not okay with it. If you take my case, anyone younger, I wouldn't really give a suffix or say, but my still respect goes on in my traditional language. But if I'm definitely seeing someone older, definitely I would say sir or Mr. or Miss. That will always be.
But not using that doesn't amount to disrespecting you.
Definitely not disrespectful, but
good to have.
Good to have.
Got it. Coming to what we're going to talk about, I would like to focus a little bit on your journey to begin with. How was it growing up? Because I think very young in your life, I think it was very clear that you were going to carry a huge baggage of being the son of a stalwart or a legend in Telugu cinema. How was it growing up and was it easy?
See, it definitely wasn't easy. Growing up was very easy. That was, I had, my father and mother made sure that, I was not wanting for anything, irrespective of the hardships they faced, and especially my father, he made sure we were shielded from all the hardships. As growing up, we did realize that, what all they were going through, and I'm grateful for the way they have brought us all up. And if I'm 10% of what my father is, I think I'll be a great father.
Any excerpt you can give us on what kind of a father he was? Any memories that you have from back then?
Oh, there are a lot of memories. There were great memories.
Anything you can pinpoint on, something that our audience would love to hear?
One thing I know is that he never gave up. He never gave up. That was something which I learned. Even when all chips were down, everything was down. He always stood like a rock. And his attitude is where I think I learned a lot of my life lessons from.
So, growing up, I believe you were a sports enthusiast as well, played cricket, were the captain of the basketball team of your college, if I'm not wrong. I remember reading that online.
I was the vice president, not the vice president, I was the vice captain of the Indian basketball team under 21. And then I was a captain of my university's cricket team. And then I did captain my basketball team. Yes, I also played district level cricket and basketball national level I did play. So I was pretty much into sports, and my life was in sports mostly when I was growing up.
That's, I would say, don't mean to bring in gender here, but that in that generation I think was something that most men were comfortable doing growing up. Get onto the field and play. How did movies happen? Was it just organic because your father was a stalwart, or is it something that was at the back of your head always?
See, Akash, I was an ugly duckling in my family.
It takes a lot to say that.
You have to be honest. I was an ugly duckling in the family, and I was never a great looker. And my family also decided that I would become an IPS officer, and I did train to write my civils, and I did give my preliminaries. And what I learned over the period of time, I asked God only one thing: make me an actor, and I'll save it as much as I can. And I keep telling in other interviews, in 1.3 billion people in the country, there are probably 200 people who are lead actors across the country. And I'm one of the 200. And I thank God for giving me this opportunity. And I want to, He gave me this opportunity, and I want to protect it by working hard and being disciplined. And here I am. There are much better looking guys than me.
Yes.
But I got the opportunity thanks to my father, and I want to, nurture that and keep it intact by my hard work and discipline.
Going back in your journey once again, you just, as you said, you wanted to be realistic. Any regrets growing up that you've got? Any personality? I think we all, with time, grow up and mature as individuals, right? I mean, today when I look back at the teenager in Akash Kolaru, I would say, okay, this is the personality trait and I'm glad I got rid of. Anything like that growing up that you remember?
The only thing probably I wish I can go back and change is my eating habits. Other than that, there are no regrets for me.
I think you worked on your physique
I
lately
did.
a lot more than you did in the past.
Yeah.
Coming to movies once again, do you believe this nepotism debate is something that has been ongoing for, I think, decades now? Do you believe you got it easy? Are you one of those who recognizes the fact that, okay, maybe they had an advantage? And I mean, they don't really shield that with anything, right? It is a reality. Or do you believe that it is tougher for a star kid because the minute you hit the screen, there's this comparison between your father and you? Which one is it?
Nepotism is a word which was made very popular in the last decade, and I laugh at
and
it.
I credit a talk show for that.
And I kind of laugh at it when people talk about it, that star kids have it easy, kids within the film industry have it. See, it all helps us with the first movie advantage. There's no doubt in that. Okay, because my father was a legendary actor and a producer, I got my opportunity as the first film. That film didn't work. But because the audience accepted me, believing that I had some kind of talent and some kind of, something they believed that I could deliver, they've kept me alive all these years. And if they think that I wasn't, there was no hope in me as an actor, why would they even come to the theater to see me or even talk about me today?
I have to confess, because D till date happens to be one of my all-time favorites, right? But as fans or as a viewer of Telugu cinema, I always felt post that what happened, right? Because I personally cannot remember a lot of big moments post that. Anything you'd like to share about your journey?
See, what happened with D was that it became a cult film. That was the first of the films in that time, which kind of broke barriers and made a lead actor, be subtle and make a fool of all the gangsters instead of being a macho guy and beating people up. And at the same time, winning his love. And it had great combinations of some of the best comic actors.
Yes.
And we playing along and fooling it up. So the character was a brilliant character and people fell in love with it. And that has become like an iconic, recently I read it in, I think, Inadu, I think. In the top 100 films, D was one of them.
It was remade in, if I'm not wrong, 3 or 4 South Indian languages.
It was made in almost all languages, and in every language it made money. And I was like, wow, a film of mine, made it in that top 100 list. After that, I did have about 4 or 5 huge films, but none of them were as path-breaking as...
I mean, there's no brand recall as such.
Yes, because none of them was as path-breaking as D. And if you ask me why couldn't you make another D? You never know. We never made that movie thinking that it's going to become my iconic, cult film.
Got it. I mean, it was something that you did as a part of your routine, as a part of your job. Eventually ended up becoming as big as it became.
Yeah.
Coming to Telugu cinema, as one of the strongest voices that I've observed in the recent past, while you've always maintained, and I know people in the industry who always say this, that you're a very closed person, you're a very private person in general, but you don't shy away from taking things head on when you have to. With respect to Telugu cinema taking charge nationally and making it really big, most of the national stars that I can speak of today have been from Telugu cinema in the recent past. What do you think we're getting right and what do you think we're getting wrong? By wrong, I'm not fishing for a controversy here. Rather, what I'm looking at is the bigger you get, more eyeballs on you and harsher the criticism, right? Do you believe content-wise, what is it that we need to sort of watch out for as a threat in the near future?
See, there's nothing, the North and South debate, for me, if you actually ask me, it's a very, very silly thing. Because it's all Indian cinema.
100%.
For me, it's Indian cinema. Now, why is it that Telugu cinema is doing very well up north, if you ask? Because these movies are getting it visibility because they are getting theaters to get released there. This is not an overnight sensation or phenomenon which happened, but in the last 15 to 18 years, all the movies which have been dubbed, all the South films which have been dubbed to Hindi, the audience were like, okay, we can watch it on TV, we can watch it on YouTube. Oh, this movie is nice. Why is it that most of the country today watch Korean series and movies?
Or Korean drama, yes.
And you love it. You know, sometimes you don't even understand the language, but you see the emotion, you read the subtitles, you love it. So you can't suddenly say, you can't compare Korean movies with Indian movies and say, you know, they're doing a great job, you guys are not doing, is Korean movie a threat? It's not. It's today, audience are able to appreciate good cinema irrespective of the language barrier, and they're having a release there. Now, if movies do not get, for example, Hindi movies do not get a release here in South, we will never be able to appreciate good Hindi films.
100%.
The same way, if good South films get a theatrical release there, they will never be able to get an appreciation. And all of a sudden now it's no longer a barrier for actors. The lines are blurred. You know, the borders are blurred. Acha, why don't you cast that guy? That guy is good. You know, why is Junior NTR acting with Hrithik Roshan?
Exactly.
You know, because when two of the biggest stars of the country get together, you're going to see fireworks.
100%.
So that is how the future is going to be. You know, people who do not understand cinema or do not understand the trend will have this debate about South films are doing better, North films are not doing. That debate for me doesn't make sense. If it really, you know, I'll give you one example, like Avengers. For most of the common people, they all think, oh, they're all Americans, they're all doing. But not many people realize, Thor is an Australian actor.
Yes.
You had to bring him on here. Wolverine is an Australian actor, Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
Okay. And the Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds is not even an American, he's a Canadian.
Yes.
Okay, of course, Canada is now another state of United States if Trump has it. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds is a Canadian. So the question arises that you shouldn't think about where the actor is from. You should look at just the movie and go on with it. But people, you know, would like to have that debate. This will die down in the next year or two. You know, it'll be fine, totally fine.
The second question that I come to when it comes to content, lately there is this sense among viewers across the country, not just Telugu viewers for that matter, that sometimes the sequel is maybe forced, right? There's this trend of sequels running, maybe it's way more commercially viable, etc., etc. But do you believe that every movie doesn't require a sequel? I mean, sometimes this is just a forced thing that comes in from the production end that says, okay, maybe we'll make more money, or the story doesn't essentially demand a second movie all the time.
I don't know, but most of the filmmakers, if they believe that there is a potential for a second part, why not? It'll go on. So I do believe that it can happen.
Got it. Coming to Kannappa. Before that, what does faith mean to Manchu Vishnu? The reason is, I mean, there are a lot of interlinks between what faith means to you personally and what you did in the movie. What does faith means to you, and what is the definition of faith in your head as a person, as a human being?
That's a very, very broad answer I'll have to give in terms of faith. I'm a Hindu, and I believe in, the way I worship God. It could be different from the way you worship, the way I worship, the way you talk to God, the way you go to I don't believe that I should go only to the temple to have a conversation with God. I sit down in my car when I'm going, I suddenly, feel like, okay, I need to ask God this thing. Now I like to have a thing, conversation with God. I believe, you close your eyes, you're with God.
Yes.
With a pure heart, whatever you give God, that's what even the movie Kannappa is about. With a pure heart, with a good intention, however you worship God, God will hear you and God is there always with you.
Has it always, growing up, has faith always played such an instrumental part in your life?
No,
personally?
always. My dad is very religious.
I remember you telling me that your father doesn't let you get out of the house without feeding your cow, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
In one of the conversations.
Yes, my dad, wherever he stays, he has, we have 2 cows in our house all the time. And before dad leaves the house, either in the university in Tirupati or in Hyderabad, he feeds them. He feeds them, he prays to them, and then he goes out of the house. And when I am there, I do that too. And thing is, to each their own. I grew up in a very religious house. My dad does puja for about 20 to 30 minutes a day, however busy he is, and then he goes. Though I don't do it for 20 to 30 minutes a day, I do my puja and I go. I go to temples. I question God a lot. I question the rituals a lot. Why should only this happen? Why can't I do it that? There's nothing wrong in questioning religion. Because you shouldn't blindly follow. You should not blindly follow whatever rituals they say this is how it should be done. Why should it be done in a certain way? If you're convinced with that answer, then you should do it. Don't just blindly follow it. Question it. Then you will find the answer and do it with even more rigor.
Got it. Coming to Kannappa, why Kannappa at this juncture in your professional as well as personal career? I think we all have heard about how the idea came about, how Mr. Tanikilabarni had played a role in that. But right now, I think with OTT coming in, it has revolutionized the way content is perceived in a lot of ways. There's more gore to it, there's more blood to it, etc. But there's also this parallel trend of patriotism / mythological stories making it really big. Why Kannappa? What led to you getting convinced about the movie in the first place? And if today's Gen Zs or millennials are to watch it, the obvious question, why should they watch it?
See, if a story is told properly, everybody will watch it. Everybody will watch it. It's how you tell the story, any kind of story. Now, when you come up to Kannappa, after almost 50 years of the last time the story was told, I'm making the story. People who were born in the last 30 years vaguely remember Kannappa. Only people probably who go to Srikalahasti temple and they hear the legend of Kannappa, people might know it. But I think after 50 years, it's Lord Shiva's, order to me to retell the story of Kannappa, to again show to this generation the story of Kannappa. And this is my version of Kannappa.
Got it. Coming to the star cast you've chosen, before I get into how it was working with each one of them, was there ever a sense of, okay, I'm going to enlist such bigwigs in the industry, be it Akshay Kumar, be it Mr. Mohanlal?
I always had my wish list.
Yes. I mean, did you at any point feel, am I going to get overshadowed? I mean, because there's two narratives here, I'll be very honest. One is, no matter how small the pie, let me own majority of it. The other narrative is, I will focus on making the pie much larger than me, irrespective of how minuscule my role in that is, right? While I understand that the movie is about Kannappa, the role that you're playing, it is all going to be about Kannappa. There is, in marketing and when it reaches the audience, there is a sense of, this was the question that multi-starrer movies always had, that is there going to be any clash amongst fans or who's going to overshadow whom? Was that ever a thing in your head when you
See, most of the actors who I cast in the movie are much, much, much bigger actors than me and legendary actors.
Yes.
For me, it is like, how did I act on par on next to them? Did they overshadow me or did I overshadow them? Did my character actually stand out while performing with them? That is something the audience will have to tell. But as for casting them, I don't have an inferiority complex. Even if I had to do one scene in a movie against some of the biggest names, I'm very confident that I would give my 100%. And as an actor, nobody can point out that I did a subpar performance.
Got it.
That is something I'm very confident about. I'm confident about my skill. And while casting these people, I wanted larger than life people to be there, because that is when, if I'm bowing down to Lord Shiva, the minute I announce Akshay Kumar as Lord Shiva, now your anticipation is like, how will he look? Yesterday we launched the look and it's been accepted amazingly. So these things are things which I put, and I wanted to cast father in a certain role because I knew that if an arrogant sage like Vishwamitra is there, the first person who would do justice for that character is my father. And if I wanted Prabhas to play a certain role, I knew that only if he played, the stature of the character would grow more.
100%.
Okay, so that is why we had to, I had a wish list, and thankfully Lord Shiva, made sure I had that wish list. And for who had to play Lord Shiva? Lord Shiva had to give permission, and I think the permission was given to Mr. Akshay Kumar.
So There is a sense lately, right? Media is media at the end of the day. I belong to the organization, but there's a sense of, again, you've already minusculed or rather belittled the debate about North versus South. Well, let's bring it back for a second. There's a sense of onboarding national actors for the sake of marketing. That's the narrative that a lot of critiques have come out with, right? Because maybe they shoot for 4 days, but carry on marketing for 30, 40 days, etc. Each of the characters that you've chosen, did you choose them because they're the right fit for that character? Or was there a marketing angle behind the end?
Both.
Got it.
Both. I will not shy away from being dishonest. It was both. Now, if I'm going to approach Mr. Akshay Kumar and bring it here, he's going to. There are a lot of eyeballs which will be looking at Mr. Akshay Kumar because of the superstar he is, and I would love Kannappa to be known also. Mm-hmm. My aim is to tell the story, to make sure the story reaches the last person, and I got to do what I got to do.
Got it.
And I'll do it.
Coming to how it was working with each one of them, I'll go person by person. First, Mr. Akshay Kumar, obviously. How was it? I mean, we've all heard stories about how he wakes up at 4 a.m. He's really hardworking. But how was your personal experience working with the man? And what is it that maybe you could learn or you could teach to him in as many words?
I don't know if I can teach him anything, but I did learn to be professional and touch me not, with him. He's a very, very nice man. Humble man, does not have those airs, which it's a biggest turn-off for me if anybody tries to act very, superior. Nobody is superior here. And him being one of the biggest superstars in the country, the humility he had and the down-to-earth nature what he had, it was very, very nice. And when, at certain points, I was like looking at him and saying, I gave him a subtle thing from the monitor. He immediately understood and he was like, I need one more.
Got it. That you were not satisfied with what happened.
Yeah. And he was like, no. Then I had to say, okay, change the light. And I went up to him and I said, actually, this is what I felt it was. And then I showed him, he was like, you're right. We'll do it one more.
So he's open to opinions. He's open
Of course.
He's not one of those guys who comes in and says, I'm the biggest star, I want to.
No.
I want it my way.
No, he was very, very sweet and he was very good and very punctual. That's of course known about him.
Got it.
But at the end of the 5th day, when my father said, Akshay, my son needs a blessing. You're a legend. My son needs a blessing. He looked at me and said, these last few days, he put me to task. He sorted. I don't think he requires any more blessings from me. I did push him.
And that's something you should hold as a matter of pride, in fact. I mean, if you could push Akshay Kumar to do better than he was doing.
Not just about that, the timelines also, I didn't let anybody breathe on the set when he was there. I was like, because I had to shoot what other people would have shot for about 12, 13 days. I had to wrap it up in 6 days.
And are you a hard taskmaster or perfectionist? How would you position yourself?
I am not a hard taskmaster or perfectionist. I don't know what those two mean. I am what I am. That's all.
Got it. Coming to Prabhas, I mean, ever since Bahubali hit the screens, I think the most talked about star, I could say that, at least coming in from Delhi, I can definitely assure that is the chatter. How was it working with him? I think both of you and your father and him also share a very sweet personal bond. Beyond that, professionally, how was it working with him? And what can we look forward to when it comes to his role? If you can give us a little bit of a leak here.
See, you are going to love Prabhas's character in this movie. And what probably... what he hasn't done in the earlier films is what you'll be seeing a lot in this. And his performance per se.
What do you mean by what he hasn't done? I mean, I just want to probe a little bit more.
See, the kind of performance he's done in this movie, he hasn't done it in the last since Bahubali.
Got it.
The nuances he's done, the way he's delivered dialogues, and, it's phenomenal the way he brings in, because he's there in the movie for a purpose. And he kinds of sets everything right. And the way he delivers the message is phenomenal. It'll be a shocker. It'll be a shocker.
Coming to Mr. Mohanlal. Now, I've grown up listening to tales about this man, right? I'm sure you have too. How was it interacting and making somebody like him a part of your dream project, so to say, if it is one? Because the minute there's generational transgression, I think there are a lot of inhibitions which come in. How do I address? How do I speak to him? There are a lot of inhibitions which come in the minute there's generational transgression in general. So how was it with that man, and what can we expect from him going forward?
See, if you ever want to test your skill, you need to play with the best.
100%.
And in cricket, you would love to either be at the non-striker end of Sachin to see his batting technique and pick up a few, or you need to bowl to Sachin to see whether you can restrain him. That's when you'll know what your mettle is. For me, acting with Mr. Akshay Kumar, with Mr. Mohanlal, has been that. I was in awe of him. I grew up in front of him, and I've known him since I was a child. And for me to share the screen space with this legend who I adored since I was a kid, it was a surreal experience for me. Just to see him walking, coming and standing in front of me, I was just staring at his eyes and the way he was doing, and I was like, now's the time I got to prove myself. And forever, as long as I live, I'll cherish what he told me during the scene on the second day of shoot. I'll hold it to my heart till the end of time.
Is that something you're okay going public with?
You know, it was a scene where I had a 4-page monologue with him, and I did that. And I was still sitting down there, tears rolling down my eyes. I was looking at him. As soon as they said cut, he walked 3 steps forward and he said, "Good job, Mone. Very well. Very well."
Those simple words from him.
Yeah, and he just walked back. And I was just sitting there. And then I was like, you know, tears were still, you know, rolling down my eyes. You know, I was looking at it. And those were the tears, this genuinely my tears saying that, wow. Did Mr. Mohanlal really come up and say that I did a good job? Wow.
That means a lot, I'm sure. Yeah. Coming from someone
like that, he doesn't bullshit. He's very subtle, he's very cool. But to give up praise, he's not that quick. And to get it from him, it's an honor for me.
Vishnu, considering your trajectory in movies, would it be right to say this project for you is make or break?
Yeah, that's right to say.
And considering the amount of money going in as well. If you were to, I wouldn't ask you for projections, that's futile. But if you, I'm pretty sure you guys sit down on the drawing table and have your expectations set, right? I'm not going to ask you numbers, but there are leagues that have been established ever since magnum opuses have been created. Which league do you see this movie entering? I mean, at par with any other movie, would you like to compare?
See, I would love Kannappa to be the biggest movie, but whether it will be the biggest movie or a big movie or a good movie, it's all in the hands of the audience.
Right.
Though our aspirations are, we would want it to be a very, very big movie. Like how in history, the earlier Kannappa film, Bhakta Kannappa is an iconic movie. I hope and pray, I succeed in making this on that level. But ultimately, it's in the hands of the audience. They judge, and they are the people who decide where it has to be.
The starting of the interview, I remember you saying that, if I'm even 10% of my father, I'll consider myself fulfilled in my life. If you had to draw a parallel between him and you, a very tough question, or rather we can choose not to as well, that's your choice. But at any point in time, do you believe that you underachieved given the opportunity, or do you believe you've done well with the opportunities that you've got? Have you ever had that comparison in your head, or have you just seized that aspect?
I underachieved.
Got it. Any reason why you think you've done
because that? My choice of many directors were wrong.
I mean, again, not for the controversy, but any movies that you regret doing?
I don't regret doing any movie. I just regret working with a few directors who I went on sentimental reasons, because ultimately it's the director who makes or breaks a movie. He's the captain of the film. And in the movies which I had the power of choosing the director or working with a certain director, I faltered.
Got it.
Ultimately, the director is the king. He's the leader. We have to just follow the leader. And if the leader is flawed, on screen, people do not, the first brickbat hits the actor on screen if he's known.
Yes.
Then comes the director. And it is harder for an actor to bounce back because a director is a creator. He didn't create well this time, but the next time he might crack the code and make a super duper hit. Whereas for an actor, he'll have to wait for another opportunity.
Any names you can give us, or have you ever
I
seen?
don't want to give names.
Okay.
I don't want to point.
Have you ever seen an example where the same director maybe in the next movie
Oh yes,
delivered an absolute wonder?
Oh yes.
Where you were like, man, he could have done that with me as well.
Yeah.
That's happened to you.
There are a few people who've done that.
So coming to addressing the elephant in the room, right? I'll come back to the movie a little later. But it'll be an absolute disservice if I don't. Again, let me issue a disclaimer here. You could choose not to respond on certain aspects, and I'll truly respect that. With respect to what's happening within the family and the recent Twitter war to be isolated, the way a third person looks at it is neither party in this case paints itself in glory, right? Because the level of discourse, I think, has gone to a level where nobody can be proud about it, considering the words that are being used, etc. What is your version on this? Yes, I mean, now it is in the public domain. There's shots being fired. I'm sure you must have seen that there are people with vested interests making use of what is happening, be it online, be it influencers, be it YouTubers, etc. What is your stand on that?
See, families are complicated, and every families have their own issues. Probably because of the popularity which father has and we guys have. This is being carried by the national news also.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a very old traditionalist. I'm a very old soul also. I believe in Mata, Pita, Guru, Daivam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, my fundamental principles are that.
Mm-hmm.
Come what may, these four will never change for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What has happened is totally unfortunate, and I hope there would be end for all of this in the near future. But it's really unfortunate all of this has happened and is happening. And I know that there will be a few more incidents in the future also. You'll never hear me talk about it, Akash. I'm a very private person. I will not talk about it. I'll never make a statement. They might provoke me to make a statement. Mm-hmm. They might insult me to make a statement. But I'm not interested in bringing my family affairs out into the public. And whatever Twitter was you're talking about, I'm not a party of any of it. I'm not a party.
You posted something without any out and out insinuation, but it was taken personally.
If the shoe fits, wear it.
I get that. Even if you wanted to, I'd have to give it to you. You were clever with it. I'm not saying you wanted to, but even if you did.
See, if you go back and see, my father is celebrating his 50 years of being an actor.
Yes.
And that is what I'm celebrating, irrespective of whatever is happening. The glory. How many actors can proudly say 50 years they have been in the industry and are a legendary figure
at that level.
And being at the position where he is, and still reckoned as a phenomenal actor and a relevant actor after 50 years. Very, very few people had that opportunity. And my father's having that. And as a son, I want to celebrate that. And there are so many celebrations. We sort it up going forward. Now, in that, we've been releasing his famous dialogues every day. If you go back, not just now, right from the 1st of December, you see we put on his famous dialogues. And then we moved on to his famous songs, his iconic songs. We are putting one every day. Every day. And in one such situation, one of my favorite movies with Mr. Ram Gopal Verma, and one of his iconic dialogues was slated that day. All I did was post that.
Yes.
I don't say anything out of the blue which I did it. But if anybody else wants to see that as an opportunity that they got attacked and they felt they were set on that and they, it's unfortunate. And if they want to say something on it, let them keep saying. See, I'm not new to criticism. The minute I started being an actor and decided to stand on my 2 feet and stand for any issue, there I am sure I will be rubbing people a little, on the wrong side. I don't care. You want to hate me? Take a token and stand in the line. There are already people in line. Out of so many people, there'll be one more person. And does it care? See, to live my life thinking what 20, 30 people around me think about me is stupid. I don't lead my life like that. I don't care what people think. I do what my heart says is clear. And I enjoy my life. When I go to bed, in exactly less than 2 minutes, I'm already in deep sleep. So, my conscience is clear. I am sleeping. I don't care about anything.
There was one incident that you personally reacted on in the recent past as well. A very sensitive one. I'm talking about the Praneeth Hanumantu case. And I would want to shed a little bit more light on that. Lately, YouTube or any social media platform for that matter is a double-edged sword. If used for the right reasons, it can deliver a really good thing. But if used for the wrong, we have seen cases where it has spiraled into something else, right? I was in fact watching that video reaction of yours on my way here. You were very animated when you reacted to it, and I pretty much get why as well, considering the context. Where did that reaction come from?
See, I felt very, very upset when this lowlife compared a child, in a sexual reference with their father.
Yes.
Was he abused as a child? We don't know. He needs help. Or if not, he should not be in a society where human beings want to live a normal life. And I appreciate fully to Sai Dharam Tej for pulling that issue up. Mm-hmm. And we were all appalled at what level this person, Hanumantu, could stoop to talk about a 3-4-year-old child. I have kids. If I do not come out and point out and talk about this, what kind of society am I leaving for my children in the future? Yes, he didn't talk about me or anything, but he spoke about it.
Yes.
And as a person in a society, I saw that, and I was also constantly being bombarded. I'm the president of the Movie Artists Association. I was constantly bombarded in terms of saying, how is it that...
you haven't reacted?
Not just about reacted. What am I doing actually now that such people are targeting the families of actors, the kids and wives of the actors. You want to criticize me, you criticize me, man. I'm okay. I'm there out in the limelight. But you cannot criticize my family. You can't criticize my kids.
They haven't made this choice of being public figures.
You should respect it. You should know where to draw the line. And these guys went overboard. And that's when I said, all the people who are attacking the families of the actors and doing derogatory statements, back off. And I'm giving you 48 hours time. Okay? Or I'm going to come with you legally. And I went legally against them. And that's the reason today you don't see such derogatory marks on it. I faced the brunt, but I was in the position as where
you could do something.
Where I had to do something. And when I was taking that stand, everybody warned me, Vishnu, it's not going to be easy. They're going to forget everybody and they're going to come and target you specifically. I said, let them. I'm going to take them on.
And there was also this narrative on the sidelines when this was happening, that Mr. Manchu Vishnu and his office is threatening YouTubers on the content that they're creating about your family, etc. Just to set the record straight. Can you tell us as to what exactly went behind the snes? I mean, where did this even come from?
We never did. We just hired about 3 companies which do the reputation management, and we said, these are the actors who have been targeted. Allu Arjun was targeted, Junior NTR was targeted, Mahesh Babu was targeted, Ram Charan Tej was targeted, and there were another couple of heroines were targeted. We gave the list to them and say, first make a list of all the YouTube people and the Instagram and Twitter who've been harassing these people. Constructive criticism is different. Personal attacks are different.
100%.
So then we got the entire list. Then we brought the list on. We hired Anand and Anand in Delhi out of my own money. I didn't take money from any of these actors or the association, nothing. My own money. I spent lakhs of my money. I went to them and said, this is it. Now how do I address this? They said it's going to be a class action suit. We'll start with you first. Okay. And we presented to the court and we got the order. Once we got the order, The companies did what they had to. They sent it to YouTube, they sent it to Twitter. And see, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they do not, as a company policy, they do not promote, negativity. But we human beings are negative in nature.
Yes.
Okay. Sarcasm and jokes are fine, but many of them do not realize that they are hurting the opposite person. So such people got the notices. Either you pull them down, or as per the law, they'll pull the channel.
That doesn't amount to threatening.
And they thought I was threatening. The legal notice which went from the High Court from Delhi, they thought was threatening. Well, if that's what you think I am, go ahead.
So be it. But coming to a more recent controversy, something that you haven't spoken about publicly prior to this, when it comes to the Pushpa Stampede case, I'm not going to ask you to pick a side. The matter is sub judice. I think both of us are not the right people to call the shots on who was right, who was wrong. But from an actor's standpoint, how responsible do you believe a celebrity can be held for a mishap like this? I'm not talking
See, only after this issue, many of us are realizing that we could be responsible for such an act also. It's really unfortunate this thing happened. And it is a butterfly effect. One incident happened and this entire thing went haywire to a stage where Bunny, who had no direct involvement in this, had to be arrested, spend a night in jail, come back, be on bail. The trauma he and his family went through, it's the trauma he went through, the entire film industry shared. Because we were all quite close. We were shaken. Tomorrow it could happen to me. And now, tomorrow I don't know if I want to go out in public. I don't know if any of the top actors would want to go out in public. See, he went to the theatre to watch a movie because he would love to hear the audience reaction, people screaming for him, hooting for him. That's a different high. No, nothing gives a better high than that.
100%.
Okay, and that's unfortunate such a thing happened. But now we are realizing that we could also be responsible for such mishaps, and we got to be more careful in the future.
Coming to a follow-up question to that, Vishnu. While what happened there, permissions were given, not given, that's for the authorities to decide. I don't think I want to put you on the spot for that. But there was a larger narrative that came in where somebody's humanity was being questioned. The content of the movie was being questioned. How is it that a protagonist can play a smuggler in the movie? And these are the same people who at one point encouraged the movie, right? I mean, if you're...
See, when you want to target anybody, or when you want to, pinpoint and push a mistake, anything and everything would be a problem. You understand? So
nitpicking started happening according to you.
Everything will happen. When you look at a broader picture, everything will be fine. But when you get into the bottom of it and look at it under a microscope, you will find, mistakes. You might find things which offend one group. But all that is, you should brush it under the carpet and just go ahead with it. We actors are very soft targets. The minute you attack an actor, you get into the limelight. And for your, personal gains, you would want to attack a person who's very popular. I don't know who did what, but this happened. This will keep happening. Attacking actors will keep happening. We'll have to take it with a pinch of salt and move on.
Coming to that, my last question before I take you to a fun segment with a rapid fire. The authorities, be it here, be it Andhra Pradesh, be it any other state in the country, and the film industry have always worked hand in hand, right? You're also the president of the Artists Association. Do you believe there is that synergy that still exists at this point in time?
There is always a synergy. Any government which comes, every association works hand in hand with them. There could be misunderstandings, which is the job of the elected body or the representatives from the film industry to go and clear the misunderstanding and have a proper friendly relationship. That's the reason why there are associations within the industry, and the predominant job is to make sure the industry runs like a well-oiled machine.
Got it. Now, we've got a small segment that is planned on myth or fact, right? I'd like you to tell us whether you believe this is a fact or a myth, and also why, if you want to elaborate on that. That's your choice. First, of course, second generation actors lack the conviction because it has come too easy to them. I mean, they don't realize the value of the opportunity at hand.
It's false.
It's false. It's a myth according to you. Got it. This is a very sensitive question. I mean, feminism is limited to ladies first, right? I mean, the reason I ask you this question, I'll have to elaborate because it's sensitive. The way it is being practiced today may not be the way it was intended when that word was coined in the first place. So, what is your definition of feminism, and do you believe it is limited to saying ladies first, or there's a lot of other connotations in terms of being an actual feminist in the first place?
See, I really don't understand being a feminist or anything of that sort. These words, are quite confusing for me. But I'll tell you one thing. Anybody who disrespects a woman does not, shouldn't have a place in the society. I believe in Shakti. The one, nature is feminine. Okay, and the whole world starts, if you go back, I'm a Hindu, I'm a very strong and staunch Hindu. I practice Hinduism. And I believe in Hinduism and I breathe Hinduism. In Telugu, there's a saying, Shrishti ki moola karno Adi Parashakti. Shakti is a woman. And when you look at the feminine, you should make sure that they get the first priority, because one simple thing I'll just tell you, which nobody else can do, no man can do, is that a woman gives birth to a new life. Okay? And that entire process is God's gift. It's God's will. The way the baby is formed, the way they conceive, and the pains they go through, and
even to be able to do that in the first place, throughout their life for that matter.
Okay, and that transforms them and that changes them. And the minute they have a kid, how they transform from being just a lady, a girl, to becoming a mother. And then, how the motherly instincts kick in. Those things, if you actually look at it, we men will not even measure up to their ankle.
100%.
Okay. So to give priorities to women is a foregone thing. You must look at it. Treat them with respect.
So I think you've pretty much answered the question. You don't believe in such fancy terms such as feminism, etc. Give respect is what you believe in. Tollywood is one family without any discrimination. Is it a myth or a fact?
What do you mean by discrimination?
By discrimination, I mean to say there are divisions within families, within actors as well.
See, there is very healthy competition across every industry in the country.
Are they one when needed?
Of course, they're all one. We're all one. We all live in our own bubbles, but when push comes to shove, everybody are one.
Got it. So you say it's a fact. Actors, like sports persons, should also retire when being asked why and not why not.
I agree to that, but the beauty of being an actor is that even until you're 85 or 90, and if you still, are able to do what you're able to, you transition from being a lead actor to a lead supporting actor, then to becoming a cameo, and even that one scene you come, people clap. One of the greatest example today I'll give you is Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. Okay, I think he's right now at 83 years old, and still he does movies and shows which people even half his age do not, think. That's because he's got a passion for it. Okay, my dad, he's 72 years old now, and the kind of energy he has while filming, I don't have. I envy that. Mr. Rajnikant, he's 74 years old. He look at the energy. Mr. Kamala Hassan, all these people. My God, why our legend, Mr. Akile Nagesh Rao, sir? At the time he was passing out, he gave a statement. Okay, during the shoot of his last film, Manam, he called the media and said, "I'm with cancer. It's a matter of time. I'm passing away."
Yes.
If he cannot be an inspiration and what he spoke cannot be an inspiration, I don't think you can look at anywhere else to be an inspiration.
Another rather popular debate is the life of actors or celebrities, so to say, is as flowery as we seem it to be, and they never face mental health issues. The reason I touch upon this aspect is because, as a doctor once told me, this generation neglects two things: mental and dental health. If that was not the case, then we would have been much healthier as a population. So do you believe this is a myth or a fact? I mean,
No. It's a myth. Every one of them have issues in the head because we are judged constantly. We are criticized every day. Today you're coming and taking my interview. Tomorrow, if I do not have a brand value, you won't even come and knock on my door. Okay, it's a fact of it. And to take the highs and lows, your mental strength should be on a different level. Many people break, and after they break,
they achieve stardom, and then when that's snatched away, it's something.
It will go away. And nobody can sustain. You want to climb the Himalaya mountain, you climb there, but you cannot stay there forever. You will have to climb down, and again you will have to climb up. Okay, but how you climb up, how you climb down, how well you can sustain up there is what sets you apart. And mentally, you got to be very strong. Some people listen to music. Some people, instantly be very strong in the head, and you need to have a willpower which normal people cannot have.
From your experience, any message you'd like to give to our viewers in the sense, not only the past few weeks or months, whatever has happened, but personally, a lot of things must have happened in your life in the past as well. Any phase where you found it difficult to cope with what was happening?
I do find, situations where it's difficult to cope. But when I get into the situation, I look around and I see that a lot of people are looking up to me.
Yes.
I cannot lose hope. And in my mind, I believe in one thing. There cannot be any problem without a solution. Everything will have a solution. But for the solution to happen, you should hold your ground and stay calm. And just panicking at anything will not derive any result.
Now, the last myth or fact is related to your movie as well. I don't know where this came from, but every now and then we hear this from a certain section of people who are into substance abuse, saying Lord Shiva used to consume cannabis. Now, with your research and your length of research, I'd like for you to settle the record in terms of that. I mean, if you have pounced upon any such fact, because I've tried researching as much as possible, I couldn't find a single scripture which says...
I haven't really thought about that or, read about it. About whether Lord Shiva took cannabis or whatever it is, I do not know on it. Honestly, I do not, because I don't go that thing on it. But, honestly, if you look at it, if you go back to history, recent history also, I know I'm probably this is going to be controversial. In India, taking cannabis was not illegal until the 70s, until the American tobacco companies decided to pressure the then governments of powers to be to classify cannabis as a drug.
So along with the likes of cocaine and all of that.
So that the sale of tobacco will be higher. Now, some 50, 60 years later, they realized that, oh God, tobacco is actually killing people.
And they've legalized it.
Yeah, and cannabis did not kill people. Does not kill people. And it doesn't make it anybody violent. So that's the reason why you see them... starting to open up across the world. And I think even in India, let's say in a decade or so, cannabis will be legal.
There is this chatter amongst legislators also. In fact, Mr. Shashi Tharoor, I remember penning down an article with somebody else as a co-author, went on to say, we've taught the world what cannabis is.
Yeah.
Now, we are the ones who have...
No, we will, in 10, 15 years, once they realize the medicinal values of it. Like in cannabis, there are two things, CBD and THC.
Yes.
Many cancer patients who go through hell during chemotherapy, one of the biggest medicine for them is CBD related balms,
muscle relaxers,
tablets, which they need to take. There was a huge campaign when a 10-year-old kid in London who had cancer, and he wasn't given the CBD medicine, and he had to suffer a lot of pain and passed away. So that brought in a legislation saying that, for health use, you can bring in cannabis. And most of Europe also has CBD. It's a matter of time. Even in India, not many people know, in some temples, they'll give it as, here's a prasad.
Yes.
But that's bhang. Okay,
yes.
But that's another,
just another form
of thing.
Coming to, I'm going to take the name of a personality here. I'd like you to describe that personality in a word or a phrase. That's your choice. Prabhas.
Prabhas. A grizzly bear.
Fair enough. Akshay Kumar.
As an animal, Mr. Akshay Kumar. I would probably look at him like a cheetah.
Okay. Allu Arjun.
Allu Arjun is the... Yeah, which animal do I think I need? I think...
You can move away from animals though. Any term that you feel that describes him.
Any term which describes...
One word or a phrase that comes... The first thing that comes to your head.
Hard work.
Okay. Okay. Pawan Kalyan.
And how do I say that? Unrelenting, vision.
I mean, does that come from the fact that he's stuck on to his political path irrespective of certain losses that he's faced over the years?
See, anybody who decides to have a public life is not going to have an easy life.
100%.
It's going to be very, very difficult for them. But who endures the difficulty and holds that ground will be remembered in history. And Mr. Pawan Kalyan is one of the person who will be remembered in history for the grit and determination he had.
The next person is away from movies, away from politics, everything. Nitish Kumar Reddy.
The cricketer.
Yes.
Hope.
I mean, I'll have to say this. I mean, as somebody who's played cricket myself professionally as well, finally we're seeing somebody from both the Telugu states go up there. Mr. KTR went to the extent of saying, I see a future captain in him for the Indian team.
Even Karthik was there.
Yes.
He was a phenomenal player. We did have a few games MSK Prasad that played. And of course, our favorite Azharuddin was there.
Yes.
Azharbhai was there. And Venkatpati Rajagaru, he was my favorite. He was there. And of course, Rohit Sharma also, he's half Telugu. So our Telugu man is there. So there have been Telugu, but Nitish Kumar Reddy is a surprise package for all of us because we haven't heard of him in the league matches or in the IPLs or anything.
Even Ranji for that matter.
And when he comes and he delivers, and then it's beautiful.
Especially when you get to know the story of how his father sacrificed his job and sort of was...
See, that's a beautiful thing. All fathers sacrifice for us.
Yes.
Okay, when you forget the sacrifices your fathers have made and try to overpower them thinking you're something today because, you're one or two, you have a bit of popularity. You have to remember, if it wasn't for our fathers, most of us are not here today. And to disrespect them, God will never forgive them. And I see the relationship what Nitish Kumar and his father have, and it's beautiful. And that is a lesson for many of them, how to respect their fathers.
Do you believe your brother's forgotten your father's sacrifices?
Coming back to the family, I wouldn't want to talk about that.
Fair enough. I'll leave it there. No, the reason being, I just thought it meant something else, but you corrected me. I'm Jagan Mohan Reddy. One word or phrase.
Oh, that man shows that grit and determination.
Okay. Prakash Raj.
Are you just asking?
Yeah. I'm just asking. That was a good one.
Just asking.
No, I've actually had a larger question on him.
He's a good actor.
Both on and off the screen, you mean?
I wouldn't say off the screen. Definitely a good actor on screen.
Got it.
And off the screen also. He's not a bad person. I've known him. I respect him. He's not a bad person. Just that probably I don't align with what he believes in.
So you guys have that rapport where you agree to disagree?
Yes.
It's not as the media seems it to be that you're going at him and he's coming back at you or whatever that is. Fair enough. The next person, of course, is Mr. Chiranjeevi, the mega star himself.
Legend.
Rana? He's been doing a lot of talk shows lately, so I had to ask you one on him.
Rana is a friend of all.
A people pleaser. Not a people pleaser.
I don't know whether people pleaser, but he's a friend to all.
Will Smith.
Oh man. Will Smith. No doubt. For me, personally, he's one of my favorites.
Fair enough. Now, just a few questions to get done with this segment. Your favorite Telugu actor? You have to name
My dad.
Okay. This generation, if I had to ask you that?
In Telugu?
Yes.
There are quite a few.
You can give me two names. One Telugu, one India-wide.
Vijay Sethupathi.
You sort of stole that answer from me. I'll tell you why. I mean, a lot of people have this psychophancy about only protagonists being actors that they can love. I still remember one of my favorite movies in the recent past is Vikram. And I still remember that intro scene of Vijay Sethupathi, and I don't believe anybody could have pulled it off.
Nobody with guts will. Nobody. I'm telling you, right?
Bare-chested man having the guts to pull that off.
No, not that. His attitude is something very, very, very. I met Vijay Sethupathi very quietly. He was shooting for a Telugu film here in Hyderabad with Vaishnav Tej. Vaishnav Tej came. I was shooting parallelly in Sadhi Studios. He came and said, "Anna, bonnara, Then I found out Vijay Sethupathi there.
Okay.
They said yes. I don't think he doesn't need to know me because I'm a Telugu actor and probably he never saw any of my films. He was in his caravan.
Okay.
I told all my makeup men, asked him, none of you come. And during lunch break, I took out my makeup, changed my clothes, just put a tracksuit and totally, scruffed my hair. And I went and knocked on, I went there, people stopped me. The local Telugu people were wondering what was happening.
Because they recognized
They recognized Telugu people, Telugu alak telusuga. So by the time my guys were like, I was knocking on the door, that guy was like, "Sir is relaxing, you cannot go." Those guys suddenly over there, one of the local crew members, they came running. Say, yeah. They went on to that guy. And I was like in Telugu, chappadu, daichesi chappadu, nenu urke kalavalanuntunna, chappadu. And I say, that guy realized I was somebody.
Okay. Didn't know who you were,
but he realized somebody because people were suddenly running and saying, "Wait a minute." I said, "No, I come here regularly. I'm a fan of sir. I want to meet him." And he was kind enough to come down, and I said, "I'm a fan. I just." He looked at me. For 2 minutes, I don't think he believed what I said, that I was an actor. But I said...
you don't think believe that you were an actor?
No, he thought I was an actor.
Okay.
But he wasn't able to believe whatever bullshit I was trying to say. But one thing I was like, I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm glad you can. I was just coming in the studio. I just work in the VFX department. So I just came to say hi. I just shook his hand. And he was like, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I said, I hope I meet you in the future and I get to work with you. I just shook his hand and quietly came out.
But I'll have to give you this, Vishnu. I mean, you started by saying I was an ugly duckling. Now you're saying you went ahead, you're starring your own self, right? You going and meeting a star that way and saying I'm a big fan, etc. I know of a lot of people who are celebrities or rather think they're celebrities would never do this because they believe that they need to place themselves on a pedestal and not come across, or they can't be fanboys ever. So I'll have to give you that it's pure respect that you're very realistic about.
Oh, I'm very scared to go and approach people also. I can prank like this mentally, if it's not Vishnu, I would do a lot of things. But in public, I'm very, very scared. In public, I get very nervous. See, many of them think that I'm arrogant because you don't see me in many functions or events or anything. But they don't realize that I'm very, very shy.
Socially awkward.
I'm very socially awkward. I don't go, I go there, okay, what will I talk here? Who will I say? I have to go to a wedding, okay, I straightly go, congratulations, bloody fool, why are you getting married in my heart? And, okay, all the best. Then I'm like, I'm out of that venue. I just walk and get out. In between anybody stops, I'll be like, yeah, I'm fine.
I think your interviews are going to get you into trouble because the last interview you said, anybody who's married has to take his wife's name. Now you're saying, bloody fool, you're getting married.
Yeah, I keep looking, there's some of my friends, who are not married, I keep pushing them, get married. And after they get married, they see like, I know why you asked us to get married. Yeah, why should be I the one who's always jailed? You also can be jailed, right? Freedom has to be given. You sign off your freedom the day you're married.
God. That's a huge thing to say.
Of course.
Is that what happened to you?
It happens to every married man. Ask them to say no. Anybody who's saying no is lying.
You're sort of giving me shivers because I'm sort of entering that club right now.
You have to, man. But it's a great feeling, huh? At the end of the day, when you come back to your house and there's someone waiting for you and there's someone. Yeah, and that's a great feeling. That's a phase of life. See, all the jokes set aside on marriages, it's very popular just to talk about. To have someone with you who you haven't met in the majority of your life and all of a sudden your souls click and you decide to spend the rest of your life together, That feeling, my brother,
It
nothing
cannot
gives
be.
you
It cannot be
any other
replaced with
high.
anything else. Coming back to my questions, the GOAT of Indian cinema. Who do you think is the greatest of all time?
My dad.
Fair enough. Bahubali or Pushpa, if you had to pick one. Your favorite, content-wise, or you can tell us on what parameter you're picking.
I don't know. Both are my favorites, but I would probably say if I have to have an edge, I would say, maybe Bahubali, because that was the first of the thing which actually pushed the borders. But Pushpa also is equally great because they did not go on to something which they took a contemporary subject and made the borders big.
Yes. It was not expected to be this larger than life movie as it turned out to be eventually, at least with the first
No, it
part.
was a regular commercial film which was told brilliantly in a contemporary stage, which people loved the characterizations.
Exactly. Uh, I mean, the same question, I think you've answered it already, but let me ask you. Money-making forged sequel or one magnum opus?
Whatever the writer and director and producer believes in is what it is.
Favorite actress?
Any given day, it's Miss Savitri.
Oh, you've got all age-old favorites.
I love Miss Suryakantam also. Oh my God, what an actress she is. And another actress which I think is a powerful actor is Miss Radhika. She's a powerhouse. And personally, I like Shobana Garu very well. She's very, very cool. And one woman, even when I look at her, sometimes my heart just flutters, is Miss Kushbu. You have to see her, initial day movies. Oh my God. My heart still flutters when I look at her. She looked like, why do you have this goofy smile on your face? I'm like, no, nothing. Oh my God.
Got back
You're
in the
so
day.
cute.
Okay. Your biggest rival in your opinion, and by rivalry, I don't mean that you both are at each other's throats. I just mean biggest competition, so to say.
There's no competition for me.
And biggest ally in the industry.
Everybody are my allies.
Everybody is an ally. Lastly, this could come across as me fetching for a controversy, but on a personal level, you're pally with most guys in the industry. If you had to, like 3 or 4 big families in Tollywood, so to say, if you had to pick one between the Nandamuris and the Konidelas, who would it be? Could be your personal relationship, could be your...
My personal relationship, as I grew up, was more closer to Kalyan Ram, Junior NTR, or Mr. Balakrishna Garu, because, I hang out with him. He's more, these are the people I hang out with. Bunny is a good friend. We went to school together. Charan is a good friend. But I talk to Bunny more than I talk to Charan.
Right.
And of course, Saidharam Tej is like my little brother. Vaishnav Tej is a brother. So my relationship over there is, on the either side, we all went to school and came out together. But more or less, Kalyan Ram is probably one of the closest friends I have.
Okay. Last thing, I would like to conclude with this. I would maybe take 4 or 5 names. I would want you to give one positive and one negative aspect about each of these people in your opinion. Mr. Akshay Kumar.
Positive.
One positive, one negative.
Positive is probably his, attitude, positive attitude. Negative, I don't know. I haven't felt there was any negative per se in that. I haven't come across, in the short span which I have with him. It's probably because I haven't seen anything per se for me to...
Fair enough. Prabhas.
Positive, his heart. Negative, his heart.
Gets emotionally attached too soon, you mean?
He has a very, very large heart. And that will be taken advantage of. That will be misused by others around him.
Fair enough.
He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being.
Your father?
My father. His positive and negative is the same. The love he gives.
Got it. Same. You mean to say that it could be misused or it could be taken advantage of?
That's the same thing with Prabhas. Prabhas and father, that's the same thing. They give too much love.
If I were to ask you the same question about yourself,
My positive and negative. My positive is probably my positive attitude. My negative is that if I don't like someone or something, I go into my shell and I can never talk to them.
I'm assuming you like me in that case because we're having such an elaborate discussion. Lastly, I would want your opinion on Pawan Kalyan Garu and Allu Arjun Garu. One positive, one negative in your opinion.
Well, they both are hard workers. They have the grit and determination. And at the stage where they are today, if it isn't for their hard work and their strong will, they will not be there. So that's a lesson people should learn. That from all the actors or all the people who are at that level, sports persons, politicians, or the actors who we are all spoken about, you should look at the grit and determination and the hard work. You don't see the hard work these people put. You should understand the hard work. They are like normal people like you. You know,
you see the eventuality of the result, but
you don't see the journey. You have to see the journey, the brickbats, the insults they face, we all face. But we just brush it under the carpet and we stand strong. And ma gamyaniki మేము చేరుకోవాలి అన్న ఇది ఉంటుంది మాకు.
My last question to you, and I think I saved this for the last intentionally. You could choose not to answer, like we've established the rule already. The one incident which happened with a reporter, I would, as a son, how did you react to that incident? The reason being, like you said, Tollywood becomes one when push comes to shove. So is the media industry. Like we all at that point felt for the person who was there. Now there was a flip side to that, right? Why was that individual inside private property? Could he have done better by staying out? What was your take on this entire incident? Because, yes, there was an apology issued. You guys reached out to the family. Everything said and done. That one incident did not translate really well to people who were watching it because they didn't know about the different sides of the story or what eventually happened there, right? We were just looking at it from a camera's lens. What was your take on this? And do you think it is fair for people to deduce this aspect that, okay, multiple times Mohan Babu sir's temper has been questioned, has been in the limelight, maybe it's true, etc. What's the take on all of this?
See, the media, so I can't go very in-depth on this and criticize anybody because right now the matter is in court.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing. Everybody knows about father's temper and everybody also knows that his temper lasts for 2 minutes. But forget it is father. Forget it is Mr. Mohan Babu. When there is a family issue going on and you know the father is not in good terms with the son and the son is being wavered or son in his right, he's thinking he's right. But as a third party, what happened to the humanity? Just because you have a camera and mic in your hand, does that give you the right to barge into anybody's house and question them? If you look at the video also very clearly, my father came up with folded hands.
Yes.
The video is still there, out in public. Folded hands saying that, please, it's a family issue. Do not come into my house. These people barged into my house and hit him with the mic on the face. Look at that. And that's when dad lost his cool. I'm not justifying my dad taking the mic and swinging it. But what happened to the humanity the media had? What happened to it? Yes, you wanted to make, for the media, it was like a big boss show. It was like, we suddenly have a happening celebrity issue, free to air content. Let's get more eyeballs. Let us say something. And they went on and they went and did this. I'm not blaming one channel or one individual. But journalism is such a wonderful profession because if it is not for journalists, if it is not for the legal system, there would have been a lot of chaos in the society. So they both have very, very, very huge responsibility. Journalism has a huge responsibility, okay? Because sometimes, where some political powers or if something wrong is going on which is being brushed under the carpet, it is because of journalism. Those things come to highlight, and then law takes its course, and there are many incidences where people's opinions were changed because of it. For example, even if you look at the Arab Spring, it came from the social media.
Yes.
Okay, and that is a power journalists wield.
In fact, in the last 10 years, I personally covered a lot of cases where media was the result, things turned around.
Yes. But many of them misunderstand that the power which the journalists have stops at a certain level.
100%.
You don't barge into people's house. And come on, forget about the Western media. Aren't you Indians? Don't you have your mothers and fathers? You know, how is it that you forget? How would you like if I barged into, that particular person's house when he and his father were fighting and go and question his father? Whether his father would react in the same way was questionable, but is it right on my part to do it? So as in any constitution, I have the right to defend my house.
100%.
But I'm not saying that you're allowed to hit anybody, you're allowed to, hit them. That's not right. But over the last 4 decades, all the media people most of them who are there today grew up watching Dad.
Yes.
And they know what he is and whether he respects media or he disrespects media, people know it. I'll leave it to them to judge whether what had happened was right or wrong.
This question wasn't actually planned, but I took a piece from what you just said. There is this larger than life debate in India right now, Vishnu, about an issue specific stance, right? There's this obsession with, if I believe in A ideology or B ideology, everything that they do can be right or everything the opposite side does can be wrong. Do you as a human or somebody who has a voice that is heard by millions of people believe that what we lack today is a sense of having an issue specific stance that treat an issue on its merits and demerits and listen to all sides of the story rather than just jump the gun and assume and do what you're doing for clickbaits? I mean,
see, unfortunately, what has happened is, most of the media are owned by politicians or people with political affiliations, not just in India, across the world. Let us take Washington Post or New York Times.
They have their own biases.
They have their own biases. And, they, for example, New York Post, New York Times, ready for them, they're anti-India right from day one. I don't know why. They get a hard on to just write anything, negative about India.
Recently, I saw a negative piece on Kumbh. I mean, how on earth could you churn out
so, if anything coming on New York Post, we know that New York Times is like, okay, they have a personal agenda to, defame India, take the, whatever agenda. And some of odd reason, they kind of think our neighboring countries are doing far better than India. Well, it's their view. But in this age of social media, people are very smart enough to understand that editorial pieces are their own personal opinions. So, the question, I'm not qualified to answer the question, what you said, but, gone are the days, very few media organizations today present both sides of the case.
The extent to which you can be neutral is, I think...
See, if I don't look at the news, I'm not informed. If I'm looking at the news, I'm misinformed. I don't know what to do. You'll have to tell me what I have to do. Ultimately, the headache will come and fall on me to form my own opinion, gathering all the news.
So, in a recent interview, Mohan Babu sir, I think, went on to speak about the Prime Minister himself. And he's been a very vocal advocate about movies that have something to do with India's story or mythological stuff. Would you show this movie to him, invite him?
No, I would love to show it. I would love to show this movie to him, because whether you would ask me to show, which of my earlier movies would you want me to show, if I had a chance to the Prime Minister, I would probably show only this movie. This is a movie which I would love for
Any
him to
communication
see.
You've established?
No, not yet. He's got enough work to
But he does love your father from what we hear.
Yes, they do have a very close relationship. But I don't know if right now I would like to reach out to him and say, please watch my movie. I don't know. But I would love to reach out to him.
That could be a stretch, yeah.
Yeah, but I would love for him to watch a glimpse of the movie. I would want him to do that.
But thank you so much for giving us your time. It was wonderful having this conversation. I think you opened up about things that you may not have opened up about in the past. You've taken every question head on. I think we also respect if you don't want to speak about certain things. Coming to the movie, loved your trailer.
Thank you.
And I hope it achieves everything that you wanted to achieve. And
thank you.
I hope this makes it as big as it needs to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I need that a lot.